You've been traveling. I've been traveling. The holidays. It's been a minute. Because it's been a minute, we have some great things to discuss. So, guys, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. This is Today in Travel. I am Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners, and joining me, as always, is the lovely Haley. Introduce yourself to people if they're just joining us for the first time.
Hello, everybody. My name is Haley. I'm the owner of Hospitality with a Flair, which is a hotel sales support company. And I write a travel blog, Haley with a Flair, all in the name. And I just talk travel with Jason. That's my only hobby.
That's your only hobby. I love it. I love it. Well, speaking of travel, Haley, you just got back from a great trip to Europe. You went to London, Paris, Normandy, and you've been to Paris a million times, but
Like
this is your first time to London. So, kind of briefly tell us what you thought of London. What'd you do differently in Paris? How was Normandy?
Oh my gosh, I did a lot of new things. I tried Virgin Atlantic this first time. I tried my first real intercontinental European flight on Air France, like a
Hmm. Hmm.
more connection style versus the long haul. Went to London for the first time, went to Normandy for the first time. So there were a lot of firsts in this trip. Um, London was great. I think it's a really great city, especially if you have some accessibility issues, because unfortunately and fortunately, given the state of World War II over there and it being heavily bombed, there is a lot more accessibility stuff. I just know this because I brought my dad with me. Roads are a little flatter, not as much cobblestone, which was great. I mean, we did all the historical things. I kind of checked a lot of historical things off my bucket list. Like, I love reading English history, like Tudor history. So we did Hampton Court Palace. We went to Tower of London. We went to the Imperial War Museum. We went to Churchill's war rooms in the underground. Buckingham Palace. We did a hop on, hop off. We also did a nighttime hop on, hop off with all the Christmas lights. And I will tell you right now, if you can go to London while the Christmas lights and stuff are up, you
Oh, so jealous.
do it.
So jealous.
Um, the Christmas lights are just so beautiful. Even those, the sweeping angels that you see in pictures, like, it just doesn't do it justice unless you are there in person. It's amazing. This is my dad's first time to Europe, and he was just blown away. He had always said it wasn't huge on his list, but we put this together, and it was really great. I have so many recommendations I still have to like add into my out of office app. We took the Channel over, another first time experience, to
I've
Paris
never done that.
after 5 nights. And I will tell you guys, if you are going to do that between London to Paris or Belgium kind of situation, don't fly. Do the Channel. It's 10 times easier. They recommend getting there an hour before. We did an hour and a half because we had the wheelchair, but the first train in the morning, it wasn't too bad. Getting there, we booked the premier cabin, so we didn't quite book the economy, but we didn't book the first class. I don't think the first class is worth it to Paris because it's only 2 hours and 20 minutes. But it came with a cute little breakfast. We were in Paris in like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Honestly, super easy. Would highly do that again. We stayed at the Crown Plaza again. This was our second time here out of our trips to Paris. Really loved that Republique Marais area. We did 3 nights. So the first day, I should back up to London. First day in London, we did afternoon tea, but the first day in Paris, we took it easy and just did some sightseeing. Took my dad to like Saint Chapelle, the hop on, hop off bus. The next day, we did the big Christmas market near the Louvre at the Gardens Tuileries. And I'm going to say it now. I have done Christmas markets in now London, Paris, Strasbourg, Cologne. Do not make a London Christmas market your first Christmas market. Yes, they're cute, but it is not the same
Okay.
quality. I will throw that there. It is not the same quality. I mean, it's cute and whatnot, but I mean, the one by the Louvre, the Gardens Tuileries, if you are a a foodie, especially, it's a great one. They have, between shopping and food, there's over 100 different booths. And there's rides. So like if you have kids, like I mean, honestly, it was really impressive. I do love my slightly more quaint ones. Like Strasbourg and Cologne are still my favorites, but this one was truly incredible. And then we did a day trip to Normandy. My dad's a World War II history fan, just like myself. And that was one of the most incredible things to do. We did a private tour. Again, I'll put all my stuff together when it's all said and done. But we took the train over to Normandy. It was about 2 hours. Got off in Bayeux, which is just this little train station. I would go back. If you want to spend a lot of time in Normandy, you could easily spend 3 days doing
Okay.
World War II stuff. And the off season, most of the museums are closed, but you can still go to all the sites and memorials and stuff like that. But Bayou is so beautiful. It is like a storybook village. So if that is a big thing for you, stay there. But we had a private van that took us all over where we wanted. And nothing was just more humbling than standing on, Ponda Hook, Omaha Beach, Utah Beach. And it's so quiet and calm. And the day that we were there during roughly low tide. So it was very similar situations. It is such and all the peace and calm right now to just envision that it's insane. And things that, I mean, as much as I've read and watched so many history things on it, seeing it in real life, like, that area of France, for example, is very prone to flooding. Like they would flood it for crops and stuff like that. The Germans flooded that area to like combat against like paratroopers coming down. So like the paratroopers with all their gear would like drown in it because they had so much gear and it was so wet and deep. Like it was just things not to take a dark turn here, but just like it is so wild to see. And actually next year is going to be the 80th anniversary. So it's a big Paris. If you guys want to go to France, next year's not the year between the Olympics and the 80th anniversary of D-Day. It's going to be crazy. They're already talking about how crazy it is. And then we took the train back to Paris and took our time coming home. Had a lot of hiccups coming home.
Yeah, we saw that on your
abilities. Still handling that, but overall, I wouldn't change anything about that trip. It was great. We spent technically 10 days on this trip. And I wouldn't say anything felt rushed. I mean, I always feel like Paris needs more than 3 nights anyways, even with this being my 3rd time going. And again, in the spring, like 3 nights just doesn't feel like enough. I haven't even done everything in Paris that I want to do.
No, I did 3 nights and it was crazy. I mean, I loved it, but it was crazy. It went by very quickly.
So much. There's truly so much, but I still think Paris is my overall favorite for Europe. And I feel corny saying it because everybody's like, "Oh, Paris," but like,
no, it's amazing. I mean, I think I would either live in London and like vacay in Paris. London with just, I like it being like I jokingly call London like clean New York City. I enjoy having like I like having the West End. I like the I don't know. I love London. I mean,
my dad was so surprised with just in general how clean like Paris and London were. And, bless his heart, but he's sitting there, he's like, everybody just dresses really nice.
They do.
He's like, you don't see anybody dressed like a dirt bag.
No.
Like that. No. Well, see, Josh knows in the comment section, the Tuileries Gardens market is another level. It's just crazy.
That's cool. All right. Well, we've got to move on. We have lots to discuss. So great summary. So I just got back from convention. It was a whirlwind and lots of information. So like most of the cruise line vendors were there, the resorts, the tour operators, insurance companies, airline consolidators, like hotel. I mean, they were all there. We could talk about it for hours, but just some of the highlights. The cruise planners announced for the first time ever, as of November this year, we are a collectively a $1 billion company as far as purchases and sales for the year.
Wow.
So like that was a record like in the industry to have a billion in sales. That was amazing. Um, some of the cruise lines that kind of stood out to me. There, I'm going to mention three that kind of stood out to me outside of the normal ones I typically
I feel
talk
like I
about.
need to be drinking my tea, but it's too hot for this one.
No. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So Atlas Ocean Voyages, it really caught my attention. So they're kind of a newer brand. They started in either 18 or 19, and right now they have three ships, small yacht, like small ships, mega yacht kind of thing, um, expedition focused, and but they'll do everything from Antarctica to Caribbean. And when you're like, oh, well, why would I do expedition in Caribbean? Well, they do things like, have you ever, we've all made that joke about, oh, what's your excursion on a sea day? Ha 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 ha. Well, on Atlas, you can go snorkeling on a sea day. Okay, they'll stop the ship for a little bit, truly in the middle of the ocean, drop you down, and you can go snorkeling on a sea day.
Are you trying to woo me here?
Right. I mean, it's so I thought so I think so it think like luxury glamping, right? So you can do Antarctica, but you're not gonna be roughing it. I mean, it reminds me of how like Flora was in the Galapagos, right? Like luxury glamping, right? So Atlas caught my eye. Second one that caught my eye was an old brand, been around for a while, used to be part of the Royal Caribbean group, Azamara.
Okay.
So Royal Caribbean Group sold off Azamara to fully buy all of Silversea. So Azamara was on its own. They had their own travel agent portal. They kind of had a rocky transition to be independent, but things are going much better. And we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Dondra. I'm going to try to pronounce her last name, Roslin. Something. Everyone just knows her as Dondra, formerly of Celebrity, is taking over in the spring of Azamara. So I just think someone that wants to stay in port longer, Azamara is a great choice, right? They stay till 11 p.m., midnight. They'll overnight more, right? They actually try to have no sea days. Let's get you into these cities, but you're traveling to Europe to go see Europe. So, or Africa, or Japan, or Crete, wherever, right? So they're best of Japan, and like their South African, some of their itineraries really interest me. So that's another brand. And the last one is a brand that I've always kind of just, it's never caught my attention, never really done it.
Celebrity?
No, yeah, right. You've done it. I was impressed by some of the princess news, the princess presentations, the new princess ships, how they're making it easy to add drink packages and Wi-Fi. Like they're just,
it's easy.
Easy. It's easy. Right. There's no games. Look, if you want cruise only, boom. You can have Princess Plus. You can have Princess Premier. $60 a day per person. $80 a day per person.
You're not playing the Hunger Games in a cruise planner. Like
no. Easy. So I was like, I like easy. So those are the three brands. Now, some of the trends in the industry that I've noticed from convention, people are wanting smaller ships and more like adventure. So we're starting to see brands like Atlas, right? Seabourn, Silver, like they're building like expedition ships. And it's just kind of becoming a trend in the industry. You know, the MSC family made Explorer Journeys, small ship. We'll talk about more small ships later in the broadcast today.
I think that's also carrying over in hotel world too, because you have that brand new JW Safari Lodge.
Right. Yep.
And I agree with you. I think it's carrying over in a lot of different parts, especially in the luxury circuit, of course. But I agree.
So I thought that was so like, and there were a lot of people like other travel agents and vendors talking about my clients don't want to go on ships with like 5, 6, 7,000 people, right? And you're starting to see a lot of other brands, even resorts, be like, "Hey, you should come here. You're not going to vacation with 7,000 guests." So it's just interesting that there's a lot of people for whom bigger is not better.
Oh, I mean, even
So
my mother even said she's going on Wonder in
okay,
February, and she's like, "This is my last big ship. I'm going back to little ships."
yeah, I don't think that is the worst, you know. So I thought that was interesting for as trends in the industry. So smaller ship expedition, that's kind of what we're seeing more of. So
Ooh, Pam said she'd be interested in learning more about
yeah,
Princess.
it's just
Give a phone
yeah,
call.
yeah. Give me a call. So and then as you guys saw, we left convention and we got to board Celebrity Ascent for 2 nights, a crazy 2 night previous sailing. Those 2 night sailings are just crazy.
I like that and felt exhausted for you.
Yeah, it was it was a lot. It was a lot. Not a lot of sleeping going on those 2 night previous sailings. But so high level thoughts to quickly wrap it up. It's basically the beyond. And I don't mean that as a pejorative, right? It's the beyond, and the beyond is amazing, right? So it was wonderful. There were some minor changes to the Ascent, but most people wouldn't really know the difference. So beautiful ship. The shows were great. Food is great. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, we know there have been some changes with our my favorite brand, Celebrity, right? And I'll be honest, so much of it was social media hype because when I got on board, it felt like the same Celebrity that I've always loved and known, right? It was the food was fantastic, the service was fantastic. Now, I'm not ignorant of the fact that we were on the new flagship, right? I'm not ignorant of that. But I thought it was wonderful. The service was top notch. The entertainment was excellent. The ship was beautiful. So it felt great to be back on Celebrity, and I can't
I
wait to.
always take some of the social media stuff with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I
Because there's
agree.
some people that like clout, there's some people that like to complain. And like, for example, I talked about like my issues with Virgin and Air France on
Yep.
my stories, but I'm not making TikToks and reels right off the bat. Like I'm giving them an opportunity to correct it and apologize for it before I really go ham into it. So I'm always a little bit more selective with what I see on social.
No, I agree. And look, there was a change I noticed in my stateroom. The personal retreat host was basically the room attendant, but there was a card in there for head butler. So like I hit the butler button once and asked for espresso. It was there in 10 minutes. So was it the personalized butler service I had been used to in Sky Suites? No, like I didn't have the same butler, to come by, yada, yada, yada. It was more of a team approach. But honestly, it didn't bother me because that's kind of how most cruise lines do. If you want the dedicated butler service on most lines, you are having to get up into the higher level of suite. Okay. So you still have butler service in the Sky Suite. It's just not going to be always
Yeah.
John Doe who you see who comes and checks on you, asks how you're doing. It's more of if you want something, you call and order it. But that's how it is with a lot of lines, especially even in the luxury space. So not too bothered by that, but it was a change. So
Perfect. All right, let's move to our next topic. Four Seasons yet is
I,
underway.
I know. So, we have now seen, Ritz Carlton get into this game. Four Seasons is now doing this kind of this like mega yacht. I'm going to throw Explorer into this a little bit. Explorer is actually considered big compared to the Four Seasons and the Ritz-Carlton yacht. But as our resident hotel expert, why are we seeing these luxury brands get into cruising? And I say the word cruising loosely. I almost call it yachting. And why are they getting into it? And do you think it makes sense?
It's experiences.
Okay.
You are in hotels. What we learned, like when I sat down hospitality 101 in college, was we have the unique privilege of selling an experience versus a tangible item.
Okay.
And I think Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, this is a way to really differentiate that experience for your high-end customers. Because when you look at most, like Four Seasons, Ritz-Carltons, they're decent sized properties. They're not, 50, 60 rooms. This is adding more experience, less people, something truly, truly more luxury, especially for those clients that want to do a little bit more than just sit by the pool. So I think it makes sense. I think it's exciting to see. I was talking with somebody that was wanting to get, just in industry, like she works in hotels, wanting to try Ritz-Carlton just for that more luxurious, secluded, elevated experience and opportunities of seeing different things. Like imagine having that Four Seasons standard of service on a closer person to person ratio and being able to see things that a vast majority of people haven't been able to.
So I'm anxious to see how it works. Because like when you stay at a Four Seasons or a Ritz Carlton, anywhere in the world, you typically are not at the property 24/7, right? You wake up, maybe you have coffee at the cafe on property, and then you typically leave, go to your business meeting. You leave and go do your vacation experience, right? And then you come back, maybe even have dinner on property, maybe you have a drink at the bar on property, then you go to bed, right? So I'm anxious to see how this like
I got to remember too, like Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton have properties in like South Beach.
right, but like people typically are leaving those properties, and I guess the same as could be said with these experiences if they're going to good ports. It's the same idea, right? You're going to a port, you're getting off. I'm curious how like sea days are structured, and I've even thought about that with Explorer coming up, right? Like,
And I even think the size of the ships with them being more yacht style, if it doesn't work, is easier to get rid of that, I feel like, versus a big ship.
I agree. I agree.
But I think it'll just be more personalized. I'm anxious to see. I'm curious. I mean, I won't afford it.
No, I'm interesting. But this goes back to the trend I saw at convention of clients and consumers and cruisers and vacationers are wanting smaller, more intimate experiences.
Well, yeah,
And
I think that even ties into, and I'm sure you can shed some light on this too, like some of the prices we were seeing with Star of the Seas coming out. And if I'm going to spend the money, I don't want to be on a ship with 7,000 people.
it's funny that I was texting my brother this morning and we were looking at
But that's me. That's not everybody. But like,
no, so I was texting my brother this morning, and for that inaugural, and it was like a balcony was like 7, a junior suite was like 10, and it's a 7-night Caribbean, right? And I was like, Michael, just hold on, and I looked up that same week, Celebrity Ascent, 7-night Mediterranean, get you in the retreat, premium drinks, fast Wi-Fi, gratuities for 10,000 in the retreat, like on Celebrity Ascent in the Mediterranean. It's like I don't think go to the Med. That's
everybody has their own travel thing. But man, when I'm looking at that, and things are more expensive than what we've seen, and I think that's been a change. A lot of people got really comfortable with pandemic pricing, and Lord knows I miss it.
Hey, I miss those solo rates on those Sky Suites back in the day. They were great. I miss my Delta One for like $2,600. I get it. I get it.
We get it. We get it. But when I'm looking at it as a consumer, if I'm gonna spend $10,000, I could do Celebrity. I could probably do Oceana. I could
Right.
tiptoe into a river cruise.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. So anyways, moving on. We have some airline news. This came out of nowhere.
I'm clicking over to it. You can get there.
Okay, cool. So Alaskan Airlines has agreed to purchase Hawaiian Airlines for nearly $2 billion. Came out of nowhere. It makes sense geographically for their side, for their footprint to be able to get people from the West Coast to
Oh,
Hawaiian.
that made the most sense to me. And I'm like, that
Now,
makes sense.
it's expected to face extreme pushback from the government. I don't know that it's gonna get approval from the regulators. I don't. I'm not trying to bring politics into it. I think a different administration's regulatory body might be more likely to approve this type of merger. And maybe they're just kind of hoping they do it now. Maybe the election turns out differently next year. I just thought it was a weird time to announce the bid, but these things take years. So
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like how am I going to word this here? You have airlines like Southwest beefing up their Hawaii routes. And I think it is a way to stay more competitive. While you think that that's not to lower prices, I think it's an edge to be a bit more competitive because Southwest has doubled down on
they
that.
have.
Delta's put a lot more flights going into Hawaii.
They have.
So I think when I look at those two airlines, as much as you don't love, monopoly, lack of choice, but for some reason that one just makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. So we'll keep an eye on that. We might be talking about this for the years to come. And then to wrap it up, this has been a travel tip that I've been just recently making sure my clients are aware of. So if you're a client of mine, you know that I just love Allianz travel insurance. I think they are the best in the industry. They have offices all over the world. Whenever I'm in Europe, I see Allianz buildings and billboards like everywhere in the world. And so they have a fantastic iPhone and Android. I assume they have an Android app. They have to app. And once you purchase your policy and have your name, date of birth, the policy just auto populates into the Allianz app. If it doesn't, it's like the cruise app. You can always manually put it in. And so once that's there, you have access to your policy because God forbid there's an emergency and you're checking into a hospital in Paris and do you have travel insurance? Instead of being like, where's that email from Jason? Where's that email from Allianz? You can just click on the app, boom, your policy's there. They have a way to contact them 24 hours, 365 from the app. You can upload photos from the app. Allianz also has a concierge service, which like few people use, and you can access it from the app. Like you need help with dinner reservations or where should we go in this city? You can do it all in the app. So I just think that is a great tool to download and have all of your policy information in one place.
No, that's a great tip. I like that.
Yeah. So, well, guys, that is a wrap. I'm glad you're still with us, even though we took a couple of weeks off with travel and Thanksgiving, but we are here. And I think I'll be here next week. We have a special guest. We'll tell you who it is later, but we have a special guest next week.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.